Hi, welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today I am making an Easter pie. It's an Italian confection. It's made with ricotta, and the crust that I'm making for it is a pasta frolla, which is a shortbread crust. So pasta frolla. This is a Nick Malgiari recipe, and it's brilliant because what he did is he used baking powder in his crust. And what that does is it gives you a nice even brown color. And I'm specifically using a glass pie pan so that you can see just how brown and even the crust gets. It's really beautiful. So this is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and I'm just going to whiz this up to blend it. This is 10 tablespoons, so 1 1/4 sticks of butter, which I've cut into 1/2-inch pieces. That just goes in. This was in the refrigerator, pulse that a few times, probably 6 times just to cut everything in. 4 tablespoons of milk and 1 egg. It gives it some richness, but it's an interesting crust because it's not very sweet, more cookie-like than a traditional American crust. So I'm just gonna whirl this up. It's a little dry. Pick it up anywhere, and as you can see, I'm pressing on it, and it's not wet, but it's this is a nice dough. It's kind of like Play-Doh. So that's exactly what I want. Putting this on a couple pieces of plastic, and what I do is I cut my plastic wrap and then slightly overlap it by a few inches. And this crust is enough to give you a single crust for a 9-inch pie pan, and then a little bit extra for a lattice topping. Just goes out. So I'm just going to take this, pull all the corners up, like I have a little package, and bring all of this dough together. And about 1/3 of this will be cut off and used for the lattice, and the rest of it goes into our pie crust. So this goes into the fridge for about an hour. Well, I am back to make the filling for this Easter pie, and as you can see, I made the crust in the bowl of the processor. I have 1 cup of sugar in there, and I'm not even washing this from when I made the crust. What I have here is 1 pound of ricotta cheese, which I've drained, and you can see there's a little whey at the bottom there. You just want to keep the curds. You can use either commercial or homemade ricotta, doesn't matter. 1 cup of sugar, 1 pound of ricotta, and the rest of the ingredients for this are very simple. I have the zest of 1 orange, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 3 large eggs. I brought this to room temp, and this is a grain called farro, which I've cooked. Now you can use wheat berries for this, you can use rice, it doesn't matter. I like the bite of this, it's kind of chewy. Barley is also very good in this. Then the other thing I'm going to do, just to emphasize the orange flavor that I'm doing, is I'm putting in a 1/2 teaspoon of Fiore di Sicilia, which is an orange vanilla extract. You can use orange extract for this. I would just go with 1/4 teaspoon for orange extract, but that goes in. The rice that you're using, or the grain that you're using, should go in at the very end of the processing, and you just want to pulse it enough to blend everything. You don't want to chop this up really. 3 eggs, everybody in the pool except for the farro. great crust to use for anything, especially wet ingredients. It holds up really well. And before I rolled this out to fill this pie shell, you saw it was in a little round, I took off 1/3 of that, and this is about 10 by 10. I'm just going to cut strips. So you just want these edges to be straight. This dough can be rather finicky because it's a shortbread. So what I'm going to do is, if it ever gets soft, I just put it right in the refrigerator. This was already starting to get soft as I was cutting these strips. So what I'm going to do is pop this back in the freezer this time for a quick chill, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. This pie, I love it. It's not too sweet. As you can see, it's very liquidy. So it's basically a cheesecake. It's a custard. And it goes into a 350 oven. It's going to take about an hour. And like any cheesecake, once it comes out, you cool it and then you put it in the refrigerator. Pasta frolla, the crust, can be made a couple of days in advance and kept in your fridge, or you can put it in your freezer for up to a month. This dough does not go into a lattice where you weave the dough. All that you do here is you lay the strips on top of each other. And there is your lattice. The strips are just laid on top of each other. I wonder if I should fit one more. No. And all that you do with these edges is you just meld them into the edge of the crust. Now this goes into a 350 oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. Whenever you do a wet pie like this, always on a cookie sheet. As you saw, I made the pie, it went into the oven, and we have this leftover dough. So I thought I would address this. Now these edges, I want to make a little lip to this, so I'm just going to take bench scraper, cut little edges. And you just create a little dam. Some jam goes in here, and this goes into the oven. This will take, 15, maybe 20 minutes. When it comes out, you can sprinkle a little sugar on it, and there you have a nice little Linzer torte style pastry. So, so don't throw those scraps away. Well, this is the pie. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. This is just going to cool. Once it comes down to room temp, that'll probably be 2 hours or so, maybe an hour. I can put it in the refrigerator, and unfortunately, just so you're not surprised, this will deflate somewhat. Isn't that beautiful though? Anyway, when it's chilled, I'll pull it out, and that's when it's dessert time. And then I forgot about this little guy. So he got a little browner than I like, but it's still within the golden brown range. So that'll be a nice little bite too. Okay, well, I'll see you in a couple of hours. So here it is, it's cooled. It's actually just a little cooler than room temperature, which is really pretty perfect. You don't want it cold right out of the fridge. So this is the ricotta grain pie, Easter pie. Pastiera is what it's called in Italian. And let me just take a slice. And here's a little trick. When you're cutting the first piece out of anything, cake or pie, in order to get a clean first slice, it's best to cut 2 pieces at the same time. And that will guarantee that you get a nice clean slice. And I don't understand the physics of it, but it does work. So here we go. Another thing I wanted to point out is how beautifully this browns. You know, I was talking about that with the baking powder, and I wanted to show that to you since I did make this in a glass pie pan so that you could see it. Okay, here it is, cross section, and the grains are spread throughout. It suspends them rather nicely. That's very nice. Very nice. It's creamy. It's not too sweet, but it is sweet, and it's got just the aroma of orange and vanilla throughout. And then that little chew from the grain that you put in here. It's really a great pie. Something a little different. It's a great Easter thing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you make this. If you do, let me know. And follow me here on YouTube. Please subscribe. It's free. NinaInTheKitchen.net for recipes, and Facebook. And thank you again so much for watching. Bye, guys.